I saw this Metallica show when I was about 13 or 14, and I wanted to be Lars Ulrich. I wanted to be a drummer. And I went to my mom and I asked her for a set of drums, and she said, "No, it's too loud." And I said, "Oh, please, Mom." And the next day I got an electric guitar with an amplifier. Like, it was a really horrible one, but she tried to have some music without too much noise, because she knew that the amplifier you could turn down. So that's why I had a guitar. My parents were very far from being musicians. In the start, I was horrible. I mean, when I was just starting out and playing in my house, it was horrible. I couldn't sing and I couldn't play, and they had a lot of patience. I mean, I closed the door, but I bet they would. I imagined that they would hate it. But I lived with my mother and my brothers. My father left when I was about 14. They were all, my brothers and my mom were very, very, very supportive, and I think it does help, actually, because I mean, my brother became my manager. My little brother loves my songs, and my mother is like, she still comes to all the shows in Israel. It's preposterous, you know. There's like this huge, you know, thousands capacity crowd with 13-year-old girls and whatnot, and my mom is still there. She doesn't let go. I think in a way it's nice to see that I have their back. We're a tight family ever since my dad left, and we take care of each other. I had the guitar ever since I was 14, but I never ever played it. It was just sitting there. I didn't even know one chord. Then at around age 18, 19, I started writing words because I read a lot of poetry. And I started writing poetry, and suddenly the guitar was meaningful. It became, I wanted to sing these words that I was writing, and so I took the guitar, I taught myself some chords. So I guess around age 18, 19, I really started to teach myself to play a guitar, but I never learned this instrument, and I never learned to sing, I never learned anything. It was just this, I don't even call it a hobby, because it wasn't for fun, it was for therapy. Singing these words was helpful to me. And I was playing for some time for myself, but I never ever let anybody hear me. And then I was just starting to go out with a girl, which is a ridiculous story altogether, because this girl was the love of my life from age 6. And I never saw her for 20 years. And then I had this whole story where I found this girl that I didn't know, and I didn't even know her last name. I just remembered her for the first grade. And I found this girl, and I wanted to impress her so bad, and we went back to my home, and things were awkward. So and she saw the guitar, and she said, "Do you play?" And I said, "Yeah, but not really professionally." And then I told her, "Okay, if you promise not to laugh, I'll sing you a song." And that's how it started. I sang, and she became my girlfriend afterwards, which means it must have been good. So yeah, that's, I think, the first time I really remember playing in front of somebody. My family they were not musicians, but we had a lot of music in my house, always. My parents are from Israel, but they lived for about 8 years or 7 years in New York in the 70s. So they have a huge record collection, a vinyl record collection of everything you want, like everything people heard in the 60s and the 70s in the States. So I always had that available in my house. The fact that I was born in Israel, I moved at age 7 to Jamaica, came back at age 11 to Israel, and lived in Israel on and off there. So I don't think Jamaica influenced my love for music or my taste in music. I mean, obviously I don't play reggae music or, you know, Caribbean, whatever music. I think the fact that my parents always loved music, and my older brother, when we came back to Israel, he worked in a record shop for years and years. So music was always available to me. I don't think I bought a CD until I was like 18, because my brother had so many CDs, and my mom kept my parents' record collection. I'm not sure culturally what Israel's influence is on my music. I mean, I didn't hear much Israeli music. I heard mostly American and British music growing up. I think as an artist, you absorb everything. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's not the fact that I'm a musician doesn't mean that I absorb only musical culture. I mean, I absorb the whole culture around me. If it's movies or books or the news that I see and the place that I live in, it influences me as a person, and that comes out through my art, which is music. So Israel has a big part in everything that is me. But if I was an outsider reading my text and hearing my music, I would never guess that I'm an Israeli. I mean, I don't sound like what people expect an Israeli should sound like. When I was a kid, being a musician was not a real job. But the world changed around us, you know, and being an artist today, you could see it everywhere. Everybody just wants to be, they don't even want to be artists today. They just want the vibe of the artist, you know, the kind of rapping that artists have around them, which is preposterous because there's no essence to it. But I think it became much more luxurious and much more, it just became more acceptable to be an artist. And my mother always was there supporting me in the way that she never told me, she never pushed me what she wanted me to be. She let me choose my way, which was, I got to music at the age of 26. Up until then, I was studying cinema and a bit of theater and animation. I was an animator for most of my grown-up life. That was my profession. But every time I made a different career job or quit my school or whatever, nobody ever told me this is wrong or you shouldn't do that. They always let me choose for myself. Maybe it has its downsides to it as well, but the plus side is that I got in the end to this thing that I love doing. The quality that you have to work on it yourself is not to delude yourself, not to mislead yourself in thinking there is such a thing called a breakthrough, and not to look for this breakthrough. I mean, all the young artists that I've been talking a lot, I've done some master classes, and the question that I get most of is, how do we get to this breakthrough that we can just do music and you know and this will be our profession and people will recognize us. And I always tell them there's no, I mean, the looking for a breakthrough is so weird because these breakthroughs come. I mean, they're stepping stones in an artist's path, but the day afterwards doesn't change anything. You have to work your ass off, and you have to love to work, because I mean, there is going to be people helping you along the way, people who believe in the music, hopefully. I mean, but it's like a pebble, and you throw like a stone in water in a pond. Okay, there's a ripple effect. I mean, you throw one stone in the middle of the lake, the ripples reach, I don't know, until the shore. But it always has to start with that first ripple. It always has to start with the first wave, and that wave is always yourself. If you do not believe in your music, and if you do not love making your music, and love is a complicated word as well, because you don't always have to be happy about making music. I mean, it's not just I'm a musician, it's so much fun. No, it's hard fucking work most of the time. But you have to love it, just like in a relationship. You have to love this thing and believe in it and keep on doing it. And there's going to be so much things along the way that make you lose your faith in it, that you have to still want to do this. It sounds bad, but if you don't believe in your art, what chance do you have at making other people believe in it? Because all the other things, they change. I mean, people get to be musicians or be famous or whatever through different paths. I mean, if there was one recipe, everybody would do that. So all these things change, but the one thing that I can say about all the real artists that I knew is that they see it as a love, and they see it as a work in progress always, and they see it as a path that you have to go through. Yeah, something like that. If I had to stop making music for some weird reason, it's corny to say, but I think I would do something like ecological, do something meaningful with my life for a change. I mean, I don't know, try to save forests or something. Be one of those real people who actually make a difference to this world. Um, Either that, or I want to write travel books. Go around the world and write travel books about Hawaii. That's what I want to do. Or have my own show, which I say what iPhone applications I like. I want to introduce this application. You point it at the stars and it tells you what's content. That's what I want to do.